Hi, I'm Mark, and welcome to the current Outside Views report on Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. The Ukrainian counteroffensive is progressing more slowly than hoped, and Putin's troops have dug themselves in behind minefields and anti-tank ditches and stuff like that, because the Russian army has learned from its mistakes in Ukraine. After the quick and unexpected advances of the Ukrainians last year, Putin's troops have been massively fortifying the areas they have conquered since the autumn. Western war observers initially scoffed at the Surovikin line, but the defenses are apparently slowing down the Ukrainian counteroffensive. Supervised by Sergei Surovikin, a notorious Russian general, Putin's troops have dug themselves into the occupied territories. The Russians have built staggered barriers of minefields, anti-tank ditches, and pointed concrete pyramids, the so-called dragon's teeth, along the entire front for more than 800 kilometers. The defense lines in the Zaporizhia region on the southern front are particularly dense, where a breakthrough by the Ukrainians would be fatal from a Russian perspective. Two unsuccessful Ukrainian attacks in the sector of the front in the past few days show how effective the Russian blockades are. In one case, drone footage shows a Ukrainian armored vehicle heading toward a row of those so-called dragon's teeth. However, the vehicle does not make it to this barrier at all, but gets stuck in an anti-tank ditch in front of it. In the second case too, a Ukrainian advance ends in an anti-tank ditch. Up to 10 Ukrainian armored vehicles are said to have been destroyed in the attack near the town of Robotine after coming to a stop at a ditch. Drone footage shows the vehicles being knocked out by Russian artillery and also by kamikaze drones and anti-tank weapons. Kiev did not provide any information on the exact losses, but the pictures show Ukrainian soldiers leaving the vehicles and fleeing. Despite the recent setbacks, military experts also see the attacks as positive signs for Ukraine. These trenches are usually located directly in front of the main Russian defense lines, writes, for example, Rod Blee, an expert on the Russian army. It suggests that the Ukrainians are making progress on their offensive, he wrote. The most important work is probably the Ukrainian engineers at the moment. They have to cut aisles through the dense minefields that Russia has laid in front of its barriers. Metal detectors are of little help because the areas are littered with shrapnel, which interferes with the devices. So far, it's also unclear how the Ukrainians intend to cross the Russian trenches with their armored vehicles. The obstacles for attackers to drive in a column or to a specific spot in the terrain. And the trenches can only be filled in or crossed with special vehicles, of which Kiev presumably doesn't have many. And even if a ditch has been filled in at one point, the vehicles can only cross it one by one, and that under enemy fire. On the other hand, the dragon teeth in front of the Russian positions could turn out to be the simplest obstacle. To effectively stop tanks, the concrete pyramids must be large, heavy, and placed in multiple rows, as shown in old World War II images. The dragon tooth set up by Russia and Ukraine are small and often stand in a row. They can be cleared out of the way with a shovel in front of a tank, as the Ukrainian army has shown in a video recently. And if you want to know more about the developments in the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.